Hey, do you have Discord? Wow, me too. You should join mine.
Hey there, welcome back to the TCL. It's week 4, and this time I'm versus the Leicester Liepards versus Pokepans. If you want to check out his channel, it's in the description. You should. He makes good videos. And yeah, so this is our week 4 team. This one, unfortunately, is going to be a replay again. Next time I'm going to do it live. Couldn't help it. I didn't have time to record at the time. Okay, great. Now that that's over, let's go over the team. Oh god, that was right next to my microphone. Whoops. Okay, starting off, I have Slowking on the team. Where is this team? Here it is. I don't think Togedemaru was on his team. He might have made a trade recently. I don't think Togedemaru was on his team at the time that I battled him, so pretend that's not there. I don't remember what was there, but I'm not sure if he used it or not. Yeah, so his team is Azumarill, Altaria, Gengar, Lantern, Arcanine, Lucario, Krookodile, Toxicroak, Oyster, Pelipper, and Togedemaru. It looks pretty, kind of rainy, especially with like thunder, but not super rainy. Could be dangerous. So first off, let's start with Slowking. Teleport, Scald, Future Sight, and Slap Off with heavy duty boots to protect against hazards, obviously. It's defensive. The reason that this is on the team is just to be a great pivot tank. It's very useful for switching into stuff, especially a bunch of the water types that he has. Altaria can't touch it. Gengar does do damage to it, but I hope I wouldn't die to it immediately, but you know, it's not ideal to stay in against it. It tanks against Arcanine, it does well against Lucario, and yeah, stops Toxicroak. It's just a pretty good tank. That's why I brought it. It has Teleport not only because it's a pivot tank, but also because this Azumarill, the reason he drafted it is because he mainly wanted to use the strategy of Whirlpool into Perish Song, and so I ran Teleport to get out of there, because you can't be trapped if you use like U-turn or Teleport or anything like that. Obviously there's a real threat that he goes for a Belly Drum set, but I put a lot of pivot moves on my Pokemon expecting him to run Trap Perish Song, so because Gengar can do that too, right? Well, I guess it doesn't really have any trapping by itself. I guess it gets Mean Look, but even then, I guess that's not really that good. But it's a possibility, so I guess I can't exclude it. I think Lantern gets Perish Song too. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm misthinking that. Anyway, I was afraid of Perish Trap. So next on the team is Zapdos with Leftovers. It's defensive, bold. Actually, it's not bold, it's timid. Defog, Roost, Thunderbolt, Hurricane. I needed to be timid to outspeed, I believe Arcanine? Well, no, Arcanine has max speed would outspeed me. I don't remember why I ran timid. There was some reason I ran timid, but for the life of me, I can't remember. So yeah, it was pretty much defensive, but with timid, instead of bold. Yeah, pretty standard. I don't have much to say about it. It's static, and it has a lot of great resists. Like, it does pretty well against Lantern. Static can help prevent dying to Arcanine, Lucario. It does well against Krookodile as well. Zapdos is a pretty good defensive mon, considering it's a Zapdos. It's a great offensive and defensive mon. Zapdos is just good. So, yeah, I decided to run defensive this time. Hopefully we can get some paralyzes with Static. Next is Landorus. This is actually Bandorus. It is Choice Band, Sand Force, Earthquake, U-Turn, Iron Tail, and Stone Edge. If you don't know how Sand Force works, it boosts your moves by 1.3 times in Sandstorm, but only your Ground, Rock, and Steel type attacks, which is terrible. They honestly should buff it to be like all your attacks in Sandstorm. Just kind of like how Solar Power works. But this is something I'll have to deal with. So I decided to run Iron Tail basically just to get the Steel type boost if I needed it. Also because Iron Tail would be a great third coverage move. I think it would have been better if I ran like Psychic for Toxicroak or something like that. I mean, I guess I wouldn't really need Psychic if I could just go Earthquake, but there's a bunch of other moves Landorus gets that I probably could have ran, but I wanted to go with the whole Sand Force aesthetic, so I decided to do this. Choice Band, Landorus does a lot of damage if it's in the stand, obviously. Not much could stand an Earthquake from this. It's actually stronger than Sheer Force Landorus, since Earthquake, it both has a higher attack stat, and Earthquake is a higher power than Earth Power. So, Abandoned Earthquake from Sand Force is disgusting. Don't get me wrong, it's disgusting. So, if I could get that off just once, that's a kill, no matter what, unless they're immune to an Earthquake. So that's definitely a great thing I have going for it. Next on the team is Tyranitar, because I need to set up Sand somehow, right? Rock Blast, Stealth Rock, Superpower, and Crunch. This time I'm running Max Attack, Adamant, because I wanted to be able to do good damage, and the Rock Blast and Superpower combo helps take out a lot of his team. Superpower helps me get rid of Lucario if he tried to switch in, because Lucario hard walls my normal Tyranitar set with just Crunch and Rock Blast. So if he decided to switch into Lucario, he would take a hard Superpower, which is my hope. And Superpower also helps get rid of Crocodile, who also hard walls both Rock Blast and Crunch. So either one of these, I'd be able to get a Superpower off on a switch in, and it would take them out pretty well. Yeah, that was kind of my hope there. Next is Bisharp, Swords Dance, Knockoff, Sucker Punch, Iron Head, Black Glasses, pretty standard Bisharp set. Not much to say about it. I'm running Adamant instead of Jolly for a reason I will go over right now. And last on this team is Slurpuff with Sticky Web, Drain Kiss, Wish, and Toxic. Toxic is pretty self-explanatory. Wish can help heal other teammates and heal itself. Draining Kiss helps it be tanky by itself, and Sticky Web, to lower the speed. This helps out Bisharp, Tyranitar a lot. And also Zapdos. That's kind of why I ran Timid, I think, because I was expecting the webs to be up, and then if webs were up, then it would outspeed stuff like Arcanine. That's where we got that line of thinking. So yeah, my whole hope here was to set up Sticky Web and then sweep with like Bisharp or Landorus, and just get a bunch of kills and keep pivoting. Because he didn't really have much removal. He has Altaria, which is Defog, but nothing else on his team does. I'm not sure if he had Pelipper at the time. He might have. I think Pelipper was free. I don't think Pelipper was on his team at the time I battled him. So I don't believe he had Pelipper, and I was like, okay, his only Defogger is Altaria, and Altaria won't swap in to Slurpuff because it'll get Draining Kiss. I mean, not like its Draining Kiss is going to do that much damage, but it's coming off of a base 85 special attack, which isn't that bad. And uninvested, a Draining Kiss to Altaria would still do great damage, and I wouldn't die to it since I'd keep healing up. So I'd be able to set up webs, hopefully for free. And, because I would beat Altaria no matter what with Toxic and Draining Kiss. So, I would win at that fight and be able to set up my webs. And, yeah, that was basically the hope. I'd be able to sweep with the rest of the team. Let's move on to the battle now. Just not the battle. Unfortunately, we have to do a replay. Let me switch to this one. Unfortunately, we have to do a replay, like I said, but we'll go look at it as we please. So, I lead off with Zapdos, because his team doesn't really do anything to Zapdos. The worst possible lead, I guess, for Zapdos would be... No, not even. My team, his team loses to Zapdos. I looked at his team and I was like, okay, I'm sending out Zapdos. He can't really do anything. The worst lead would be Crocodile, I guess, but because Zapdos wouldn't really like getting knocked off. But other than that, Zapdos can do whatever it wants. So I sent out Zapdos right away. He leads with Skarmory. Pretty standard lead. Skarmory sets up stuff a lot. Spikes, Stealth Rocks, so now it's Skarmory. I Thunderbolt it knowing it has 30. But it didn't actually take it to 30. But I did get a super lucky Insta-Para, and he doesn't get to set up any hazards, which is very, very nice. That was very lucky. It's a 10% chance to paralyze, and then a 30% chance for him to get paralyzed on the same turn, so that was a crazy turn. Immediately Zapdos is useful. It reveals its leftovers. He swaps into Crocodile in the next Thunderbolt. I predicted this. He only has one electric resist, so he has to go into Crocodile, so I just went for Hurricane since it would have killed Skarmory anyway. Unfortunately, I missed right away. Not what I was hoping for, but, do what it is. I decided to stay in on him because I'm not threatened by his team at all. The worst I was going to take is a knockoff, and 2 knockoffs does not kill me. The only really threat that I was worried about would be that he had Stone Edge, but I wasn't convinced that I'd die immediately to Stone Edge. So I decided to risk it and just test the waters and see if he had Stone Edge, and then I could just boost it up if he did. So that was my thinking there, and I decided to just take it and go for a Hurricane. Hurricane does massive damage to Crew. I decided to switch out on the next one just in case he decides to switch to Earthquake. There's a lot of times where you could roost and then you just get Earthquake in the next turn. I don't even try to test the waters there, so I immediately swap into Slurpuff, who could take an Earthquake and a knockoff, because it's defensive Slurpuff. He knocks me off, my leftovers are gone, no big deal. Skarmory comes back in when I throw the sticky webs back down. That's some good water. I throw the sticky webs back down. Or down to begin with. And that's really nice for me. Luckily, Skarmory is just in range to die to Draining Kiss. If it didn't, I didn't really want him to set up any hazards. I think Skarmory gets defog, right? I'm pretty sure it does. If he got rid of those, that wouldn't be great for me, but it's great that I was able to take care of it. In comes Azumarill. I don't even want to play with this. I know that he could be Belly Drum, but since his speed is lowered, I wasn't super worried about it. I had a chance to go into something like Bisharp, who wouldn't die immediately to an Aqua Jet, and hopefully take it out. So I decided to just get out of there. It's not like Slurpuff could really do much against it anyway. I guess I could have gone for Toxic for safety. I think that would have been the safest play. I don't think I should have swapped out immediately. If he Belly Drummed, I wouldn't be in the greatest spot here. But luckily, he is the Perish Trap set that I was expecting. He goes for Whirlpool to attempt to trap Slurpuff, which works on most things. I go for Future Sight just to get some damage off. He goes for the Perish Song. The way that Perish Trap works, if you don't know, since I'm trapped and he's not, he can swap out. I cannot. So the way this normally works is once the Perish Song reaches 0, he can swap out into a different Pokemon, and I can't swap on the same turn. So my Pokemon would die, and he would get a free switch. That's how Perish Trap like this works. It can be very effective when used on stuff that doesn't have pivot moves. But, unfortunately my Slowking has Teleport just for this, as I said before. I just go for the Scald to get some chip. There's no point in switching now. I don't need to reveal Teleport just yet. I just go for the Slack Off to heal up Slowking right before I swap out. He misses Whirlpool, it doesn't really matter. Takes Future Sight, cool. Doesn't matter. He swaps out here, like I said. Goes into Crocodile, and I'm going to Teleport. And go into Slurpuff. I go into Slurpuff here just because, Slurpuff does pretty well against most of his team, actually. His only Toxic resist is Roserade. Well, actually, no, Lucario is too. But I just go into this. I can kill this Crocodile with Draining Kiss if he decides to stay in, which he does. I actually wish, because I wanted to get Zapdos. I thought he would swap and not stay in on the Draining Kiss, so I just wish, and then I swap into Zapdos to try to get it healed up, since, knockoff does hurt, even though it doesn't kill me. I just wanted to be as much health as possible so he wouldn't do anything funny with like a crit knockoff or anything. I hope that he goes for another Earthquake here on my switch so that Zapdos can't, just gets healed up, which luckily I was correct. Zapdos gets healed. Now, unfortunately, the rest of his team is very weak to Zapdos, and Crocodile is too low to take another Hurricane. So Zapdos can constantly click buttons. I click Hurricane again in case he swaps into Crocodile. Unfortunately, I predicted wrong twice. I go for Hurricane and then he swaps and I go for Thunderbolt. But even then, it's not a super big deal. I missed one Hurricane, which is not great, but luckily I land the second one. If I missed 2 in a row, that might have been it. But yeah, at this point, we can just continually click Thunderbolt. I get another Paralyze and another Lucario not being able to move. I think that actually saved Zapdos. I'm pretty sure the game was over at this point. I could have swept with Landorus or gone to Tyranitar or Bisharp since the webs are down, but that still stopped Zapdos from dying, and, well, I actually don't know what the Lucario had. It could have had something like Ice Punch. Yeah, but unfortunately it doesn't move, and I just get to Thunderbolt it. Cloyster comes in, and Ice Shards me, which hurts a little bit, but can't stand a Thunderbolt, unfortunately. Roserade comes in. Roserade is not immune to being Hurricaned. Roserade goes down, and Azumarill comes in, and it is gone. So yeah, that was a pretty great week 4, right? This is week 4. A 6-0. Pokepants played really well. I just felt like this game I predicted a lot better than I did in the last match, but also his team was very, very weak to Zapdos, and it made me glad that I brought it, since his team as a whole was pretty weak to Zapdos, so I felt like it was mandatory that I bring it to begin with. There's not really much on his team that could stand either a Hurricane or a Thunderbolt, except for Lantern, which he did not bring this match. He didn't have token farm at the time, so ignore that. But yeah, that's basically how it went. Did he get rid of Rose Raid? Yeah, he did. He got rid of Rose Raid. That's actually why I ran Sweet Veil on Slurpuff, because I was worried about Rose Raid's sleep powder. So I ran Sweet Veil to not be able to put to sleep, and hopefully get a sticky web up on it. I know I might have died to a sludge bomb, but that was the point. So yeah, that was that's it. We'll be back in week 5. Hopefully next time it'll be live instead of a replay like this time. And yeah, see you then. Make sure to check out PokePens in the description.